I want to throw in the towel. I can't do this anymore, right? I've lost so much money. What am I doing?
Hey everyone, this is Rick, and welcome back to the Seed the Startup Journey, the entrepreneurship podcast sharing the origin stories of amazing founders and their companies in under 20 minutes. Today we'll be chatting with the founder of Epic Dialogue, Eric Sim. Eric began his startup journey when he was still in school as a design student. From freelancing to getting his clients for his own design studio, Eric is now running Epic Dialogue, which is a social impact marketing agency based in Singapore. Now, before we begin, a lot of my viewers aren't actually subscribed. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button right now. And if by the end of this video you didn't like our content, just press it again to unsubscribe. Easy enough? Let's get to it. Hey Eric, thank you so much for coming onto our podcast. To start us off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as your company, Epic Dialogue?
Hi Rick, thanks for having me. I'm really very honored to have you inviting me to your podcast and your show. I think it's quite amazing that the job that you do for, the startup culture, the whole youth startup culture, and it is very commendable, and I'm very honored to be here actually. My company, Epic Dialogue, we're actually a social impact marketing agency that help public institutions as well as change-making enterprises, through our human-centric approach on branding, marketing, as well as events. So we are a integrated marketing agency in Singapore, sunny Singapore, and I'm very excited to share with you my entire entrepreneurial journey in the last maybe 7 years since I started. Yeah. I think a little bit background of me is that I started off as a graphic communications designer in my vocation school in Temasek Polytechnic. When I was 17, okay? And once I've graduated, I was drafted to the mandatory army in Singapore. And I just like the idea of, building things back then. I was reading a lot about the startup culture. I was, back then there was this whole media boom about how cool is it to build your own business and all that. So yeah, I was kind of into that, and before I know it, I started a few ventures. I started a design studio right after army into my university, undergrad studies, and I was 22 years old. But I pivoted into providing other marketing services when I opened Epic Dialogue in my third year of university. So I guess that's kind of like my journey as a startup founder when I was still in school. And it has been a very exhilarating ride since then.
For sure. Yeah. And you kind of mentioned, the whole culture and like the startup boom of like how cool it is to start your own company. Was that why, like when you were back in school, did you think that, oh, I'm going to finish school and going to become an entrepreneur? Like, was that kind of what's in your mind?
Yeah, I think it all happened really very organically. I think firstly, because growing up, I'm just surrounded by people who did their own business, small business owners. My parents, they're hawkers, right? They've been selling food since I was a baby. And especially because I had a skill set that was graphic design, fresh out of school. So, I thought that maybe it's a good opportunity for me to use my skill set and see how I can earn a quick buck, right? So my first design job was really very, very ugly, I think, looking back now, right? So somebody paid me $50 to do a backdrop design, 50 Singapore dollars, okay, to do a backdrop design for an event, right? Thinking back, it was quite a big deal. Like, oh, it's my first freelance gig, and I want to do it well. And I'm glad I had the opportunity, right? Was it worth my time back then? Absolutely, right. $50 may not seem a lot right now, but it gave me that opportunity to sharpen my design skill and also to do client servicing, which led to me opening my studio much later, right? So little things like that, I think for me starting out, I was very hungry for opportunities. Anything I can get, I do it. If I can do it for free and if it adds value to my portfolio, I would do it as well. So I did a lot of pitching, a lot of just giving my ideas to people who needed help. And gradually my company grew out of word of mouth. People knew that Eric is quite good at doing marketing. He's quite good at doing design. So if I have this opportunity, why not just get him to do it? Yeah, and I'm still growing the company actually. So I'm nowhere near done. I'm still finding out ways on how I can increase the awareness of my company. Okay, and also to properly position my service in the sea of marketing agencies out there, especially in Singapore, right? How do you differentiate yourself? So that is my challenge now in this stage of the business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was wondering if it's like a common path for designers, because I know my sister is also a graphic designer.
Yes,
and
hi Cynthia.
Yeah, and I know like she's thinking of doing her own thing as well. So is this something that's common, like going from, being a design student to like maybe freelancing and then starting your own studio or making your own company? Is this a normal path to take?
I wouldn't say it's a normal path. I think not everyone has that aspiration to be a self-starter. But for me, because it's always been me, so the seed, right, from this podcast, the seed was already planted in me. And whatever I do, whether I'm a graphic designer or maybe I'm some other vocation, right, I would still do my own business anyway. For me, having graphic design actually helps in building a business because it's a skill that's actually very important, right? Whatever that we do now, having great collateral content design, branding is actually very, very integral in the building of a business. So having that core discipline or that core skill actually helps a lot. It saves you money, and gets you going. And if you want to do a mock-up, you can easily just do it. You want to have a proof of concept, you can just easily do it, So I would say being a graphic designer indeed helped me in my journey in entrepreneurship. That's also how I started my career. Yeah, back then.
Yeah, but I mean, I know that being a business owner and entrepreneur, there's a lot more than just like being able to market yourself and design, right? There's a lot of business related skills, managing your team, even getting sales, getting clients. I don't imagine you learned that in school, right? So how do you go about picking up these skills?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no way you can learn how to do sales or how to like talk to people in school. We are taught a lot on the theoretical side of things. I was from Singapore Management University, majoring in marketing and communications. So there was a lot of theoretical concepts that was very important actually. And for me, what it really helped are modules that actually helped me build my business, such as accounting, management accounting, marketing, corporate communications. So all this helped me in giving me an idea on what is it like out there in the world. But a lot of work has to be done really outside. Really just go through the whole process of finding out what your niche is, what your strengths are, how are you going to add value and be of service to your clients, who do you want to serve. All these you can't learn in school. So it took me so long to figure out so many failures and also rejection, right? I can tell you that the process of starting out your own will be filled with so many people telling you no. And the way to just reframe it and not give up is that it's not a no, but it's just a not now, right? So for me, facing rejection is just really part of the deal. And if ever somebody wants to get into the path of starting your own thing, you got to be ready for that. Yeah, and you've got to grow such a thick skin. Yeah, and just keep trudging.
Yeah, and I wanted to dig deeper into some of your failures, because like I know just from talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, they seem very successful on the outside, but I'm sure there's a lot of like challenges that they had to get through to get to where they are today. And I know like as a graphic designer, like were there any times when a client probably doesn't like your work, or maybe they don't believe in what you could do, and like how do you kind of overcome these challenges?
Right, definitely. I think the first step to avoid this problem at all is to pick the correct client to work with. From the first exploration chat when they get you on board to maybe talk about their creative needs, I think through experience, you know how to suss out clients who possibly might actually give you a hard time in the future, and I would actually do my own deliberation and see whether this is a client that is worth taking. And maybe it is not that they are difficult, right? Maybe it's just a mismatch of expectations. They could find that I'm very difficult to work with as well, right? But on the first level, we have to have a level of understanding that, okay, this is what you need and this is what I can offer. Is there a match? And if I can't fulfill them based on the resources that I have, why not let me recommend you to somebody else? If I can't do it, I'll be like, you know what? I'm not the right person to do it, but maybe I know someone. And this is how you build trust. And over time, people will let down their guards and then really let you into their world and let you into, the insecurities, whether it's at work or it's, personal life. I don't really draw a boundary we can be very human, right? This is all what my marketing agency is about. We want to be as human as possible, get that essence of why we are doing the things we do and how to make it better, right? When I started the business when I was 22, I had this whole imposter syndrome, right? I had this whole idea that I've got to present a certain manner, right? If not, people won't take me seriously. And I've got to talk a certain way. I've got to present myself in a certain way. And maybe it worked, right? It gives people the impression that, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, right? Although I know shit, right? I don't know anything. At the end of it, do I feel authentic, right? Do I feel like I am connecting to my client on a human level? I think because of the imposter syndrome, I can say that I did not, meet them at that level. And there is this whole, I've got to fake it till I make it. It works, it works. But over time, I realized being authentic is the best way to go.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's just being authentic and really building genuine relationships. I know from my previous conversation with some guests, they basically try to build out their network and that really helped them in the future. They don't really know if that person they come across is, gonna help them right now, but who knows, they might be your investor, 2 years down the line. So I definitely love that, just building out really genuine relationships.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And so I was also wondering, have you at any point, thought of giving up? Has there any been a point where it's it's super challenging, you just want to throw in the towel and be done with it?
So many times. Oh dear. Okay, my marketing agency had a spin-off product, right? That was basically a platform for people to book an event space. So we invested a lot of time, resources, and of course money into building this platform. And then COVID happened, right? So when COVID happened, there's absolutely zero revenue. Especially in Singapore, there was this thing called the circuit breaker where everybody had to just stay at home, right? You can't go out for non-essential things. And that was basically a lockdown. And F&B businesses were suffering. There was zero events at all. The events arm from my marketing side absolutely went down the drain. I had jobs that were amounting to 5 figures, cancelling on me, right? They either asked for a refund or they basically tell me that, hey, we can't continue with this contract. So then I had to make the tough decision to let people go and also have to make the tough decision to, pivot and let this baby die a natural death. Maybe it's not dead yet, okay? It's still there. It's just I'm no longer putting in that much time into it. And so the whole experience has been very devastating for me, having something that you grew going back to zero, that is actually quite heartbreaking. So there was a period of, I want to throw in the towel. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I've lost so much money. What am I doing? So this whole sense of insecurity just came back. Right. But now I'm in the process of rebuilding myself, finding new ways to, especially in the new COVID world, to see what the opportunities are out there and constantly reinventing my business. So that is actually quite important in the whole journey as a business owner as well. If something doesn't work, you've got to really have the balls to just say goodbye, or have the heart to say goodbye and really move on from your failure as quickly as possible.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that experience. Like, I really respect your outlook as well. Like, it's super positive and energetic. So I'm sure you'll do well in the future after this.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your faith.
So do you have any advice for someone like me who's still a student, but I'm also interested in entrepreneurship and might want to start something of my own in the future?
Definitely, if you have something to offer to the world, go for it. I started my company when I had absolutely zero knowledge and experience in things. And I believe that is the beauty of starting something from blank slate, right? And because you have no prior experience of what you could have done, you should have done. So everything is very much clean. So the next thing is with that clean slate, find a mentor who can actually polish you up and give you the opportunity to shine. I think that is the second thing, that as early as possible, do that. And you absolutely have nothing to lose because you're young, right? You have no obligations like mortgage or like family. You're single, or maybe you are not married, so you don't have that pressure to get that paycheck. So while you still have that, and if I don't know, if your family can support you through your journey, yeah, totally do it. But if let's say you are making ends meet, right? Your family is not well to do, and you have real practical financial concerns, I would think that there is no shame in getting work experience first, right? Go out there and find opportunities along the way. Build a side hustle like what you are doing right now, which I think is amazing, and I believe this will grow into something fantastic if you have all the ingredients. You have all the ingredients, I think, Rick. That right, that you have this whole self-starting mentality, this attitude, and this thirst to learn from all these people that you're interviewing, which is fantastic. And can you imagine getting all this experience? Like, if all of them are a mentor to you, you would have so many experiences and so many, advice that you can work on the next big thing, right? The podcast might not be the eventual goal that you're going to, but it definitely will open doors for you to get to where you are meant to be.
No, that's exactly my plan, to basically absorb as much as I can from all these awesome entrepreneurs like you. Thank you so much. We can jump into the game that I prepared. Overrated. All right, the first one, chicken rice.
Chicken rice. Underrated.
Yeah. Instagram.
Underrated. I think there's still a lot of potential there, especially for people for my boomer clients who don't really see the value in Instagram. Come on, like, your future buyers are there.
What about waking up early?
Waking up early is overrated. Sorry.
What about meditation?
Meditation. I love it. I do it every morning, so it's definitely underrated.
Awesome. And the last one, bubble tea.
Oh, I love bubble tea. If I have my way, I can have it like one every day, but definitely underrated.
Yeah. So this is the very last question, which is,
okay,
what do you think is the best advice you've ever received?
I can actually think of two. I think the first advice is, especially for self-starters like you and everyone else who are looking to start something, you need to have two things. Are you able to create? If you're able to create, then that's great, right? The second thing is, are you able to sell? Are you able to put your idea out there and convince people that this is such a great idea and they can actually buy from you? When I say buy, it doesn't mean that they literally have to buy, but can you get the buy-in? Do they believe? Do they trust you? Right? It's also the same way when you're employed, right? If you can't create a product, if you can't sell, then you are kind of like the cost center of the business, right? People are paying you as I wouldn't say a liability, but more like the value that you provide won't be as great. I'm going to get a lot of flake for this, but that's a great advice that I got from a mentor that I had, which still rings true, because in my journey as a business owner, I had these two skills, right? I know how to create because I was a designer, creating mock-ups, ideas, and I knew over the years how to present myself, my ideas across, my how to do sales, how to get people interested, right? So that is a powerful combination, and if you can work on those, right? And you can just basically outsource the rest of the things to other people, your accounting, your, so that is one of the most important advice that I received when I was growing up.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Yeah. So this is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for coming on again. And I wish you the best of luck and stay safe as well.
I wish you all the best as well. I'll be tuning in to your podcast, and I'll be just, keeping updated with all the things that you and Cynthia will be putting up.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. My main takeaways from chatting with Eric is to be authentic, be always on the lookout for a win-win scenario, and finally, find ways of improving your ability to create and to sell. Now, I'll be discussing these takeaways in more detail in a separate episode a few days after this episode is published. So if you're interested in hearing more, stay tuned on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. With that, make sure you share this podcast with your friends, and let's grow our seed of innovation and creativity together. I'll see you next time.